Welcome to Classic Movie Salon. I'm hanging out here with Coleen Costello, and soon we'll be joined by Tachi and Matthew. And I'm going to push this to Facebook Live. Coleen, how are you? And how is the Northeast? Do you feel autumn? Is there autumn in the air?
In a Northeast kind of 93 degrees sort of way, yes.
93?
It was yesterday. I took a walk down to the rail station. I thought, let me see how it is to do this. It was. I'm happy to report it was quite easy. I was trying to find a park, but I found the metro station, and the readout, the digital readout said it was 93 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So balmy in the Northeast. Just about. Hot. Yeah, it was humid.
Great.
It was great. It was great because
I'm taller on camera than you. I'm trying to.
Can
you act?
Let me bump myself up.
I'm so tall now.
You're tall. I think I'm sitting in an antique-ish chair and desk.
Oh, nice.
Matthew's finishing dinner. Yeah, and there's a moving sticker on it.
And I just pushed to Facebook Live, so we are live on Facebook now.
Yeah, and I was just
Hello,
about to
everyone.
do that on our Classic Movie Salon page.
Oh, cool, yeah. And I am watching the comments on my Facebook page, so if you are on the Facebook watching this, there's a tiny little bit delay. But, oh, hey, Stephen Applegate's here. Hello! How are you, sir? How are we not?
Hello, Stephen, is it?
Stephen, here's Chris. Chris Ashby's here. This is not first cage match, but the cage match is coming back. Honest. We'll be back.
I saw that. That is so exciting. Oh, my goodness.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be...
That's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I don't know about a big deal.
Bring on the 80s.
Yeah, well, the requests are already coming in, and the 80s are prominent. There's
Gotta bring on. I'll tweet something punk, and maybe we gotta add in some hip hop too. We should get in some in honor of the Get Down. Maybe a little original hip hop. Here's Tachi.
Tachi, your house looks so different.
Yes.
It's I've completely redone the whole thing school style with nice. Whiteboards.
So you want the professorial feel at home.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then I'm actually going to put Snapchat wallpaper up so that I could be definitively defined by my platform.
Nice.
Get the ghost and the Tweeterbird and everything.
Yes.
And Bella Luna is also joining us on the Facebook. On the
Facebook.
On the Facebook.
The Facebook.
It's not just Facebook, it's the Facebook.
It's the Facebook.
Like the Twitter, okay?
Like the Twitter.
On the Twitter.
Snapping. The Snapchat. I just like to make stuff longer, add syllables for no reason. Really, that's what I do.
I put us on the Twitter, in case you're wondering. What I had done was I had saved our name in case somebody...
Oh, yeah, I saw. Because yesterday I'm looking at Twitter and I'm like,
who is that?
We have a Twitter account now? Oh.
Well,
I know. I was like,
what's that?
Look at Coleen go.
Well, here's the thing. I had saved it maybe a week or two ago and then not done anything. Well, obviously, I'm in boxes and buried. And then Twitter and Instagram, they start to, it's creepy. You haven't tweeted. Introduce yourself. You need a picture. And then I'm like, leave me be. Leave me be. And it just kept going and going. And I'm like, okay, it's a little bit calmer now. I'll tweet something. So then I'm like, well, I didn't put this in the DM. And so I said, I should let them know. Because I think I tagged you guys in one of them maybe yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. That's why I said, wait a minute.
Who is this?
No, I mean, it's a great idea. So it is Classic Movie Salon. That's the Twitter. The Twitter
is, I'm sorry, it's at Movie Salon. I should get to the. I don't know where I am. I'm sorry.
Oh no problem. If you can.
It's at. I'll put it in. It's at Movie Salon on Twitter. Same image. It's the same. You'll recognize the image.
Yeah, that's how I recognized it.
from our Facebook page. And then on I don't remember, I haven't done anything on Instagram, but I think it's Classic Movie Salon on Instagram, but I haven't even done that yet because
wow.
It'll be a great place for
there's still boxes.
Yeah, no, I think Twitter is great because it'll be a great place to engage people with stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I just think for everybody to be able to, like, we had to switch the movie out this week because a good print was not available on the YouTube, which happens, they disappear. And the one that was available was it was like watching a 70 millimeter movie widescreen with a telescope. It was like
that was the Big Country was and I apologize.
Oh, no worries.
A quick look when I previewed and I was like, so
it happens. What do we want? We get the movies for free. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Well, it's our production budget is kind of limited at the moment. So this was good because, as Hal pointed out yesterday on Joe's page, we got to see the director's cut.
Or I guess something closer to the director's cut. Yeah.
Of My Darling Clementine. So it was kind of the original ending. Was at least what we saw Ford's ending. That's true. So was nice, and thanks and shout out to Hal for that. Is it Mosenberg? Do I have it right, Joe?
Yeah, I believe that's
Mosenberg.
Correct.
You're right.
So so thanks to Hal for that, and he gave us some other great bits of information on the UCLA nitrate screenings going on in LA and Filmstruck, a new streaming channel that sounds super exciting with TCM partnership and Criterion Collection. So that'll be happening soon. It's on our Facebook page, on Joe's Facebook page. I think I put it on Classic Movie Salon Facebook page, and I put it on our Twitter. So
cool.
That'll be,
Joe, have you been to see any of the nitrate films?
I have not. I wasn't aware that they were even being projected because it just seemed like an incredibly bad idea.
Which means they're not going. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, do you guys want to sit in a room with maybe an explosion, little fire? Come on down. This is great.
Well, presumably they have one of those projectors like at the Rochester at the Eastman.
I would imagine, yeah. I'm psyched that UCLA has something because I could drive to that much easier than Rochester. But just the idea, I think, of sitting, because anyone who's at that most likely knows what they're watching and knows that at any moment it could just disappear.
But the room was packed. That did not seem to be a concern for them.
Oh, no. But I'm saying while you're watching the movie, you're always sitting there waiting for the thing to just burst into flames for the entire movie.
An announcement prior, like, forget about turning off your cell phone. No, like, no muzzle flashes. No,
right.
Talk about a pat down before walking in. What you got on you? Nothing. Nothing even remotely.
I'm going to go with the fire extinguisher under my arm. And I'm just going to sit down with my fire extinguisher like it's popcorn for the whole movie till it's over.
By the exit.
They're probably not even cooking popcorn, when this is happening. Like snacks, no, nothing. Walk in, lots of water. It's water.
But water doesn't even help.
And you can't
remember. But this was a standard. Once upon a time, everybody was walking in and...
Oh, hey, Calvin. Calvin's here. Chris Ashby's here. Bella Luna. Stephen Applegate.
Hey.
Facebook. Thanks for
welcome.
So let's jump in. Let me know if I guess Matthew's having dinner. And also, all right. So Tachi, we have to get back into your decor. Obviously, you are not at home. Where the hell are you?
I am not at home, and I have a terrible lighting because I'm usually a lighting person. I am actually.
Lighting is the best lighting. Everyone knows
it is.
That's why it's in every school and office in America.
Exactly, and that's why it makes for productive workplace and productive children and citizens of society.
Love it.
That's why I look green. So, in case you didn't know, fluorescent lighting will turn you kind of greenish. I am at a school, actually a high school. I'm a member of an organization, Delta Sigma Theta, and we meet monthly. And I haven't been.
Is this the sorority gang that you're in?
Yes, it is. It is the gang, the sorority gang that I'm in. It is, and but it's actually really cool. We do a lot of stuff. We are the second oldest sorority of predominantly Black women in the country.
Wow.
And internationally, we have about 200,000 members, and we do a lot of things with like American Heart Association, American Cancer Society. We work with everybody, and we do a lot of things. One of the cool things, Women's Day just passed not too long ago, and our first thing after we were founded was to march in the women's suffrage movement, which was not an easy thing being Black women back then. Nobody wanted us there, but we did it anyway. And so, we have a meeting today, and I decided I probably should be here for the meeting. So, but I can't miss my movie family, so I'm going to do this first and then go on out there. So it's convenient. It's just bad lighting.
They have Wi-Fi. That's all that matters.
No, I'm using my phone.
Oh, rocking the data plan. Nicely done.
Well, yeah.
And it's working really well.
I'm using it. Yeah, I'm using the hotspot is really, really strong. I mean, when I did that thing on the now defunct Blab at NAB, I used my phone completely for it because I didn't trust the convention Wi-Fi. Right. So this Wi-Fi is my hotspot is great.
That's
fantastic.
Really smart, because especially at events when, if it's a non-techie venue, as in there's Matthew. If it's a non-techie venue, and so they don't have like, Silicon Valley social media big events, their Wi-Fi is usually not designed, the Wi-Fi is designed for people who use things differently. Matthew is wearing
exactly.
You cowboy hat.
So
yes, you are serious.
He brings it. And I was telling someone about the Fez last night. He's met. Well, there's a bar here called Rocking the Fez, so of course I had to mention your Fez.
As opposed to Rock the Casbah.
Yeah.
also a great band name.
Yeah, it is. Rock the Fez or Rock the Casbah?
Rock the Casbah is the name of a song by The Clash.
It is by The Clash. Yeah, I remember that.
And the bartender in Rocking the Fez was rocking a tiara, which was quite another thing. So it was interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, now that we are all here magically, and only one of us wearing the appropriate hat for this week's movie.
Yes.
And also, I will admit up front that I am not a big fan of the Western as a genre. I blame.
You're a New Yorker.
Well, I don't think it's that, because my dad loves them and always has. But I think much like the first times I watched baseball with my step-grandfather, who was keeping stats on the New York Mets during the game, every single game, and he had a filing system next to his.
What?
Yeah, just crazy. And so I kind of hated baseball for a long time.
What's baseball got to do with Westerns?
Well, I think what it is that I believe my first Western viewing may have been in not the best circumstance and maybe not the best movie, so I just figured they all sucked, and just wrongly kept that opinion forever. So I had never seen this movie before.
Could it also be that, in a way, we were overexposed to westerns on TV in the 70s, because Saturday afternoon was always westerns on TV, and we just got sick of them.
Well, and they're not all terrific.
Right.
This one is ranked as one of the greatest, and certainly a great director. Well, well, it's okay. The $25 question, maybe that works out to £27 now. I'm not sure. Sorry, but so do you feel a little differently now with My Darling Clementine?
Yeah. I mean, it is the movie that pretty much every Western parody that's ever been done has been taken pot shots at since 1946. It's old timey. It's got all the stuff that you would look for in a Western, but it's the first one. It's the one that started started a lot of this crap, the crap that is not good Western, and also the cast was a little higher end on this, and in reading the truth between the history and the books that were written and how the movie got made and who is actually who, and that's always fun and interesting. But yeah, I really enjoyed it and didn't. I just was like, oh right, the OK Corral. Oh right, Doc Holliday. Oh right, that's what Bugs Bunny was talking about.
Yeah, everything goes back to Looney Tunes and Bugs Bunny. Everything, classical music, Mozart, opera, cowboys. Yeah, I mean, it's Hamlet.
Kill the rabbit, kill the rabbit.
Exactly.
I spread my magic has much. I spread my magic has much.
You're the wrong industry, man.
or the right, as the case may be.
Well, or the right industry, yeah.
I'll be very, very quiet and square the one rabbit.
I just want a little quick shout outs to
guns, a lot of gun violence.
Craft Cat Lady Gina Rudd and Diana Woo from Your Cat Closet.
Hey,
nice to see you. Thanks for joining the show. So I had never seen this one before. Coleen, let's go around. I'm guessing that you had seen this before.
I had, yes.
Had it been a while or more recently?
It had been a while because what I didn't remember was a lot of it, but Hamlet in a bar, and the relationship between Doc and Wyatt, and particularly the gender issues. I mean, because I was the unbelievable masculinity of it, and then the issues with the women, and the difference between Chihuahua.
Sorry, that's Kathy's watching the Red Sox, so apparently something went wrong, and she is unhappy.
Well,
so that's what you're hearing in the background.
No, we're getting close to the playoffs, and I feel it because the Yankees are rallying. And might get a wild card spot, so I get that. And so the issues with the vast difference between Chihuahua and Clementine.
Oh yeah.
So a lot going on. So I'm glad we got to see it again, and definitely. What do you guys think?
Tachi, had you seen it before?
I had not seen it before because, like you, Joe Wilson, I did not like Westerns. I'm like, oh, hell, a Western. But I've started to get into it for some reason a little bit more because, the television will just be on and then here pops up Wells Fargo. And then you just kind of get into the story. So I've kind of learned to tolerate them more than I had before. I would just change the channel. So now if there's a good storyline, I can follow it. But this was, like you said, this is where it all started for all intents and purposes. This was somewhat different. And it was more than just about shoot 'em up and killing people. I mean, in fact, comparatively, when you look at other Westerns, there was very little of that compared to other Westerns. So I was really interested in that. And again, there were two moments, Coleen, you're absolutely right. The whole you said masculinity, it's really hyper masculinity. When you look at
exactly.
This is masculinity. Westerns are masculinity on steroids, basically. So you saw a lot of that. And then there was the again, you can never get away from race for some reason. So you have the Indian at the beginning. Why would you give what do you think of giving Indians something to drink? Okay,
with everything that's going on in North Dakota,
and that's right
what
up,
I'm saying.
right up there. Yeah.
Perhaps the fact that you've just stolen their land and they need a way to cope has something to do with it anyway. And so, so that, and then that was the opening. I was like, okay. And then the fact that this, the love interest, Chihuahua, I'm guessing she's actually supposed to be Mexican. She looks like she's supposed to be Mexican, but you named her Chihuahua. That's why I was like, okay, no other name, no Rosa, no, something
the other
else.
one was Speedy Sausalita, and
yes!
they went with that one. So at least that was better, Chihuahua, than Speedy.
Yeah, Chihuahua was better.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have liked Speedy, but in any case,
I want love scenes with the name Speedy now.
Oh wow!
Speedy,
but in any case, I really did. You're so spaz. I really did enjoy it though.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the looking back at the old movies, which we've done more, and we do it every week. But the parallels that we keep finding between contemporary stuff that is happening now and the stories that, like, this is a story made in 1946 about the previous century, and it still has historical relevance and impact now. And quite literally, the federal government of the United States and the Indians are now, the government has stopped this pipeline thing because of what's going on in North Dakota. And it's really interesting to see, like, oh my God, this stuff is still having an impact. This is unbelievable. Matt, had you seen this one before?
Yeah, but probably not for, crikey, 35 years maybe,
right?
Since being on TV on Saturday afternoon, and thankfully I had forgotten it, or probably bundled it in my head with Gunfight at the OK Corral and various other different versions, and so I was able to approach it fresh and appreciate it for what it is. And it strikes me, just listening to all of you, that this isn't a Western that we've been watching. People talk about Star Wars being a Western in space. You could say this isn't a Western, it's a film noir set in the Wild West.
That's an excellent point.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
Even some of the filmmaking.
Yeah.
Oh, the filmmaking, the camera work, especially by the main cinematographer, who was a film noir cameraman. Absolutely. Those scenes, especially the scenes with James in the rain, and so much of it's like Rembrandt. All you see is just sort of a little bit of highlight around people's heads and just a little bit of shine here and there.
Half dark, half light. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a film noir in the West, and it could have been set in, bogey in gangster time. It's the same kind of feel. So yeah, brilliant film. There's some giveaways at the start when the Wyatt bumps into Clanton. Clanton's wearing a black hat. He should have known from the start, for goodness sake. The baddie always wears a black hat. Told you. And the only other person I think who could have played Wyatt in this movie, apart from Fonda, is Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Because the way that Wyatt here was.
Zanuck wouldn't cast. They wanted to cast him as Doc Holliday, and Zanuck wouldn't cast him.
Oh, wouldn't cast James Stewart?
Really?
Oh, it would have been a lot better than Victor Matua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a piece of beefcake who can't do anything apart from attempt to look pretty occasionally. James Stewart. I mean, that was one of the things that really annoyed me, was occasionally he would have to do some coughing just to remind people he was consumptive. But, he never came over as this.
But otherwise, he was 100% just out lifting cows, throwing them around.
Yeah, no, and did you notice that it was almost kind of like clockwork when somebody mentioned something about being ill. Oh yeah. Exactly. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be sick. But he did not carry himself like an individual that was not well. Now, of course, we don't know what he had. We don't know what the symptoms or whatever would have been, but somebody who's not well, I'm sure
for goodness sake, Tuberculosis, it's like...
Yeah, that was my guess.
Yeah, TB.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Tuberculosis, probably. So,
no, that's what Doc Holliday actually had, and they did mention consumption in the movie. They did acknowledge it.
How did I miss that he had TB? Wow.
It's fairly early on where they mentioned it.
Okay.
But yeah, they didn't make it obvious. So yeah, that was the one bad thing, Victor Mature, and yeah, James Stewart would have been a lot better. But yeah, you could have swapped James Stewart and Henry Fonda in those roles together. That would have been. And it was Henry Fonda, like James Stewart in that other movie. Oh, what's the movie with James Stewart in Canada, really far north of the Wild West? Quite similar in tone to this.
The Man from Laramie, is it? Or
no, it's
another Western, or
it is a Western, and it's set right up on the border of the US and Canada. It's about gold mining.
We'll run IMDb later and find it.
But it's all, in this, Fonda uses minimum force. When he goes into the bars to meet Doc Holliday, he's not carrying a gun. When he goes to arrest the drunk Indian, again, he doesn't go in and shoot him. He goes in there, punches him, and kicks him out of town. And at the end, he lets old man Clanton have his chance. So there's this inherent righteousness about Henry Fonda, as he often portrays in the movies. So that was rather nice. Completely unrealistic to the history, but who cares? This was a great story about good.
That's the other part of this. And reading up on the fine reference source Wikipedia, I found that there was the one thing that, and you got to change it to make it more interesting, but a dentist doing surgery would have been a lot more interesting than a surgeon.
Yeah. Dentist, yeah, you didn't have no chance. So can we just go back to a point that Tachi was making earlier, which is Westerns. The point about race. Country and Western music, both kinds of music, are still so popular in the United States, from what I understand. And the Westerns are so popular because they pander to this white macho fantasy of this white male America. Mexicans and Indians are all scum that you can kick around and slap around, and black people don't exist. Tachi, say something.
Yes, I mean, but the interesting thing is, though, that there actually is an existence. When you look at the early West, and there's an existence, of course, of Mexican cowboys, and then again black cowboys. There's a huge presence, and you can go historically, as you know, Mr. Historian, and see this. But I guess the West that Hollywood usually paints is devoid of all of this. And if these characters exist, they're the bad ones.
Or the cricketers.
Yes, or the caricatures. Absolutely.
Yeah, the black round face, staring white eyes, and go, "Oh no, master, don't shoot me!" Kind of terrible cliche.
Exactly. And you know what? The thing is that's sad, and of course that was a product of the times. But you miss a key opportunity for great storylines and for all sorts of other things because of that. So because you're so intent on showing the West one way, you miss so many opportunities to really paint not just an accurate picture, but an interesting picture of what early pioneerhood in the West was.
How much more interesting that would be?
I mean, I'm assuming it was very cynically done, and I assume it was done deliberately to maximize the market they could sell the movies into. So if you had decent black and Mexican characters, you wouldn't be able to sell the movie in theaters across the South. But did they deliberately discuss this, or was this just the way that it was just a natural assumption that these movie makers said?
Here's the thing. What they've been saying this forever. Oh, well, if we do this, it won't sell XYZ. And time again, they have proven that this is wrong. And I'm like, and you're absolutely right.
I'm talking about 1946 specifically. What were they thinking then?
Yeah, no. In 1940 specifically, you're right. Absolutely. The South was big, but I'm wondering, I always wonder how much of an influence was the South that this was the thing, because I'm not trying to say the rest of the country was stellar. They were not. But I think it seems to me that they would have been a little more tolerant of some other things than the South would have been. So it always makes me wonder how much of an influence what really was the South when it came to these types of things. And had they tried to do something, what would have happened?
And also the interaction between the people making the movies and the audiences is interesting because the studios are dominated by flamboyant Jewish characters,
yes,
generation immigrants, and a lot of the people going to the movie theater, especially in New York, are immigrants, or in many cases Jewish immigrants escaping Europe, and yet they're peddling this white male racist idea of America.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's really interesting because when it's profitable, absolutely, it's profitable. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you've ever seen. There is a documentary from not California Newsreel, but like one of the media, the critical media places that's called Real Bad Arabs. How Hollywood vilifies the people, and he goes through. Have you seen that?
I'm
he goes through.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's actually great. I use it in for my class, for my media classes. He goes through he's watched hundreds of films in terms of how Arabs and Arab Americans and Muslims are depicted in the media, particularly in film. And, he makes that point that, the way that they're depicting Arabs and Arab Americans is similar to the way that Jewish people were depicted in early media as well. And so you would think the funny thing is you think that gets power, they would want to make a change, but it doesn't happen. And it's funny because it makes you think that, wow, power really does corrupt, because when you have the opportunity to present something and make a change, you don't. So interesting. Not that I'm blaming, but it's just an interesting fact.
And also that it's still we're still in a lot of the same positions in terms of decision making, women on screen, let alone anyone who is on screen. But to get the decision makers to remember all the uproar when there was a black stormtrooper and everybody was there was a bunch of people on the internet freaked out because, oh my God, there's a black stormtrooper. And
over a fictional character. This is what gets me. I'm like, these people are not real. They could theoretically be anything. So why are you upset?
But I think that goes back to the marketing thing, the decision makers in 1946 making a movie that the majority of the people that were going to pay were going to be white people in theaters. And so if you know that, then any sort of, and I hate to say this, but any sort of social responsibility in your storytelling is out the window, because it's still out the window now most of the time. We're still nowhere near where I thought we would have been in terms of and that's the thing, like you said, how much more interesting would a Western be if we saw black cowboys, Mexican cowboys, a story that everyone intertwined, historically accurate? That would be interesting to see, because I don't know of a story that's done that.
I was thinking of another kind of diversity as well. When they first went into Tombstone, and all you see is men in cowboy hats and leather chaps, I was thinking, when do the show tunes and the high energy dance music start?
Any minute.
Where did you go, my cowboy friend? Matthew, where are you?
Oh, he's there. He's there.
Oh, okay, he's just dark.
Film noir. It's film noir live streaming. It's a new genre.
Oh, there you are.
I'm moving in the dark. About gay cowboys. Yeah, we need more gay cowboys as well. There's plenty of gay cowboys in clubs in New York. So let's have some more in the movies.
Yeah, actually, Chris Ashby's pointing out Blazing Saddles. Good point.
Exactly. Yeah.
I watched it yesterday. My art house cinema had a free screening yesterday. They're doing tributes for Gene Wilder was on their board. So they ran Blazing Saddles, and today the producers.
Awesome.
So and for free, they had free screening. So Blazing Saddles, not quite, and sitting through it again. It's been a while since I'd seen that, and I forgot what's in there, and it's got a mixed cast, but the dialogue, and I went, oh, right, yeah. And so I said, I don't know if there's laughing and just laughing, but in the end, I mean, the message is wonderful. I just wonder even if a film like that would get made today. You know, it's Mel. You know, only Mel Brooks could have done this, but it was 1974, and Attitudes, progress had not come as far, if it has even.
And also, let's just touch on Gene Wilder, since we're all here before we take off, who passed away recently, and there's been lots of great stories and videos on the internet. I saw Mel Brooks on Jimmy Fallon, just to hear his Gene Wilder stories. And one thing I didn't know, there's a book out. Let's do a plug for Mel Brooks' new book. There's a book out that Mel Brooks makes this the stories of the making of Young Frankenstein. And Frankenstein.
Yes.
And my apologies. And I never knew, and granted, I didn't. I love Young
Frankenstein.
You actually do say Frankenstein. Joe.
Are you frozen?
It's just.
You see what you all have done now?
Sorry. But what are we correcting Frankenstein?
That's actually how you say it.
Frankenstein.
Yep.
It's one of the things in the movie.
I remember that part.
She was announcing it yesterday because there's an event with that coming up too that Mel Brooks is going to be hosting. It's a live streaming thing. He spoke. It's because she said, you may be wondering why we're not showing Young Frankenstein. And she repeatedly said, Young Frankenstein. And then I said, do you mean after all these years, we're all supposed to be, and I don't think it was, you know, just him in the film, Dr. Frankenstein correcting an Igor saying it is Young Frankenstein. But anyway, Mel is going to, in LA, host a screening, and it's going to be live streamed to worldwide, 500 theaters, and I think mine is going to be one of them. So check everywhere. Cool. But January, I believe, is the date. Cool. We'll update that. So go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. That's great info.
A live streaming event coming soon.
I guess while they were shooting, I guess he knows the story. Mel Brooks said that while they were shooting Blazing Saddles, Gene Wilder was scribbling on a notepad, and it was Young Frankenstein. It was the idea, and he told Mel Brooks about it, and it ended up being the movie. And just because, so I never knew that it was Gene Wilder's idea. And I don't know a tremendous amount about Gene Wilder. I've just been a huge fan, but to see, to know that he was not only like,
so humble
in terms of comedy, like just genius. The guy was genius. The things that he did and the way that he did them, the way he got laughs, just with looks, with subtlety, and his absurdity was, and this is the thing I've used in directing my own stuff. I use the term grounded absurdity. Like, this is all real, but it's completely absurd. And getting that tone in a performance and having it be funny is really hard for actors, because you either you lean into the comedy too much and it feels like it's a sitcom, or you're not leaning into enough and it doesn't sing. Right. Yeah. And so Absolutely. Young Frankenstein is just, and the producers for that matter, and in talking about
love it.
Race, like for two guys to try to make a film or make a play that's going to be a disaster.
Well, how do you make Nazis and Hitler funny? It's not supposed to work. It never. In what universe does this become hysterical? Only if it's written by two Jews, you know, I guess.
Right.
And then, you know, and they're acting in it, you know, and you know, I'm thinking of yesterday where he's dressed as an Indian chief, Native American, on a horse, where the African American family pulls up a Schwarze, you know, and you're like, Yiddish coming out of the and they know what he's saying, you know, and it's just like going, what? This is it just brilliant, sheer brilliant, and nobody can get pissed off because you're like, pissed off. Listen to me now. I sound like I'm Brooklyn, but I am, you know, and you're just going.
Pissed off is beyond just the Brooklyn region.
It's
Yes,
everywhere.
yes.
Everybody's screaming
worldwide.
Also, to mean drunk, angry. We could go on to the colloquialism. So,
And thanks to Donald Trump, everybody in the world will be pissed off equally soon.
Oh,
as
God,
it relates to the whole world will be pissed off, except Putin, maybe. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yes, I was throwing my cat, not my man.
So yeah, I mean, just. Right. I mean, otherwise it becomes farce and protests. And
it's really difficult to go from crazy absurd to back to a reality of any kind. And it's almost like the characters in Young Frankenstein. Some of them seem like they're in their own movie, like they're in one kind of movie.
Like as if you resented
absolutely
say that, Joe Wilson.
Let me correct myself.
Yeah, it's like movies within a movie within a movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I absolutely love. Well, just a kind of shameless plug. Very soon, we're actually working on a book on the work of Mel Brooks. So nice. Hopefully next year, there's like 4 of us that are working on it because we did a presentation on the movies of Mel Brooks, and I actually did the producers. So we're putting this all together in a book, and hopefully that'll be out next year. So needless to say, I absolutely adore Mel Brooks, and of course, love Gene Wilder. Love Gene Wilder.
Yeah, I think the other, I believe the first movie I saw in a theater, and I could be wrong, was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. And I also believe that it was on TV not too long after it was in the movies. And it was one of those, like, I don't know if it tanked. I don't know the story, but I remember it being on network TV. Like it seemed like VHS speed, talking 80s. Like it just, and so it was, my first solo show, I had references to it. I used sound clips from it. And talk about grounded absurdity. Wow. Gene Wilder has that entire absurdity grounded just like on his shoulders. He just carries all of the reality and lack of reality in that movie. And I don't know tonally, again, that is so hard to do, especially for going to a musical and then back to a movie. And then it's, you know, kids are filling up with blueberry juice and getting huge and
turning purple.
Yeah. And
turning purple, getting burned.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not a musical fan.
Drowning.
But I have always loved Willy Wonka.
You know what I can remember too is being glad because we were young then and really little, and everybody, I remember laughing about these Gene Wilder movies, except I couldn't see them. Except when Willy Wonka came out, we could see.
Right.
It was a little bit hard to get because some of that it's not silly humor.
It's not for children.
It's not.
Willy Wonka is not a children's movie. I don't know who fooled us into thinking it was, but this is probably why it didn't necessarily do well. It had all the trappings of a children's movie, but it was too ethereal for children.
It's I don't. Grown up. Yeah.
It's a really grown up movie, which is why I loved it even when I was little.
Me too.
Yeah, So, but you could see it, and I was a little afraid with the girl that turned into a grape or plum or something big. But
that was a little scary. No, I was scared when they went on the ride through the tunnel with all the. I was like, oh my God, what's going on here? But I was exhilarated, but it was scary.
Yeah, and because otherwise it was going to take some time. Going to get to go see the other movies that everybody was laughing about, and so, but thank goodness that they made them and they're still here, and now, we can celebrate all this for Gene and Richard Pryor. I didn't know had a writing credit on Blazing Saddles, and I, here I am thinking, oh great, I'm going to see Richard again too. What, not in the movie, or maybe he had and I'm credited, it's just like he came later.
He was going to star in it, but he was indisposed at the time.
Could have been, with his
It was written for him.
His extracurricular activities, maybe, or something. I don't know, but just brilliant. And then did see Silver Street.
I remember it might have been when he burned himself. he burned himself doing
I know.
something.
No, I think that was early 80s.
Oh, you're talking about Richard Pryor?
Yeah, he burned him because
Yeah.
he did Live on the Sunset Strip in 1982, and that was, I believe, the first time he was
After he healed,
after
yeah.
he burned, or was it special after that? Because he did the joke with the lighter. What's this? Richard
Yeah.
Pryor.
Oh yeah, I remember. I
remember that joke too.
But he another great combo was he and Gene together. I mean, oh my goodness.
Chris Ashby's saying it took a lot of drugs to write Wonka. I kind of agree. It was.
Well said.
It was definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Matthew, what are your remembrances of Mr. Wilder?
Gosh, well, yeah, just these amazing films that he did, and as we've spoken so often in the past, I never liked the macho typical male leads. I much prefer the interesting, slighter people. James Stewart, Henry Fonda that we're talking about this week, and people like Gene Wilder. There's the hero who's probably weighs about 3 stone when wet, not very tall, utterly unviolent, and yet he's the hero. Much prefer that.
Yeah.
Prefer the crazy person to be the hero than the macho all-American any day.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's always.
And also with Gene Wilder, with his, I don't know, I guess with the Jewish link, there's generally a big difference between US and British humour.
Oh yeah.
We think a lot of your humour is rather crude and you don't do irony, but yeah, Gene Wilder was much more European in that regard. Yes, he could do farce, but he could also do irony too. I mean, the broad brush differences in American sitcoms, for example, somebody who's good-looking, glamorous, walks into a room, says a funny line, everybody laughs. But in British sitcoms, British comedy, it's generally the people. Fawlty Towers being the typical case. The people in the sitcom are a bunch of idiots. And that's the big difference. They're never glamorous. They're always a bunch of twerps. Gene Wilder was able to just blend and go through all that so much better than anybody else, really.
He's much more of a hybrid of styles. I think it combines the best of the British and unique a bit of American style, American and some other undefined quality, I think, also as well. So he was truly unmatched, unparalleled.
Yeah, and I can't name an actor who has anything even close to what he has. Like there isn't a Gene Wilder.
There was a glitch there doing Mr. Cosby. I don't know. Did you hear that on the sound?
Oh, I didn't hear that. No.
What's that?
No, there was a delay. There was a sound went into a loop. So when you said "who," the sound on my end went "whoa."
And then I said Jelly.
Well, when you do you've been known to do a Cosby, so we wouldn't even
It wouldn't have even, exactly.
It wouldn't have
Might not have registered.
Sorry, Joe, carry on. I just got distracted by you turning into Cosby all of a sudden. It was a disturbing moment.
No worries. But I think there's no other Gene Wilder type. Even during Gene Wilder's time, there was, much like Zero Mostel from the producer, like there aren't a lot of people who are those individuals who are just, who they are and what they have and what is under the hood as a human being coming out in performances that there's not a lot of other people who have had that opportunity and have done it that well, because it's usually, a really good actor who's done a lot of drama, who thinks they can do comedy and starts doing comedy. And I've seen it. I've also seen it with actors in LA who are like, my manager thought I should do stand-up comedy, so that's why I'm here at this open mic. And like, oh, good for you. That's going to work out great.
Yeah, it's really
because you can just take a class and do it one night a week.
I'm a dentist. My manager thinks I should do some emergency surgery.
Try. Go take a class. Don't get in front of real people. It's
Or get in front of real people and let them have you for lunch.
They'll cure that. Yeah. But Gene was probably a product. One of his times, and two, it's probably also always good not to try to ever imitate, maybe interpret some things, but. I don't know. Tachi, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think the point you guys were making is like, okay, well, my agent thought I should get up and there's almost like a lack of respect for the craft when you do things like that. And I am very much about you not just stay in your lane, but understand that this is your lane for now until you study the craft and know that. But the thing is, I think that Gene Wilder has such a respect for all ends of the craft that's part of the reason he could do that. Besides the innate talent, besides all of that, you have to have the level of respect and almost love for this craft to be able to carry it off well. And I think that's why he was able to do so well with it. If you just get up because your manager said so, hence you shall fail.
Well, it's pimping. It can be another word for pimp agent, at times. And he just looked where he can, farm you out and put things on your CV or your headshot on the back. And it's, but Gene and any real success, it's being bold and there's going outside your boundaries and doing what you're good. You can be courageous and say, maybe, you still know I could probably, it's a matter of confidence and trying, matter of, that's so not in my kit or in my toolbox. So it's one thing to say, you could probably do that knowing, it's another one saying, I want to hustle you, baby, and get out on that corner. Which, sorry.
Almost the same. Because you are going direct to the audience, and you let the market decide. So
they're going to, you're probably not going to get paid, but you're going to feel used and abused.
Much like a lot of actors and comedians.
Same end result. So you'll feel cheap in the morning.
And voiceover artists.
And
and storytellers and growing.
Filmmakers and everybody else.
If you give good voice, you'll get probably the work will come. I think. I don't know.
And if you're not union, your voice is used over and over and over.
Go ahead.
Well,
I did for an American TV commercial for an exhibition in New York, and I was directed by an Italian.
Really?
Matthew, because I'm going to say it again. Per favore, ancora.
Wow.
It was a very painful day.
I was like, how did that work out?
Badly.
Wow.
Because
Man, you don't say it in a word.
I had a very strong idea of what I wanted. So I said right at the start, do you want, sort of a natural voice? Do you want this kind of voice? Do you want Mr. Voiceover Man? I can do it in Mr. Voiceover Man if you want. And he said, do it in a natural voice. And then I'd do a bit. He said, no, I want more. So I'll give him some more. No, say it like it is. And he'd read out the line in his very, very strong Italian accent. And because the emphasis is in a different place. So what do you want me to do? Do you want me to do an impression of you doing an Italian accent for the voiceover? What are you trying to ask me? Yeah. The discovery of a king of Tuta. Just say the line there like that. What, in my accent or your accent? The story of King Tut. I'm sorry, I'm English.
That is a Monty Python skit waiting to happen.
That would have been the time to go right into Nessun Dorma or something.
Yeah. What made it worse, he wanted me to be totally over the top and also do the whole 30-second spot in one breath, because it had to fit in a very tight time slot. And I said, look, can we just do it phrase by phrase and slice it down? That's what we do in editing. That's what editing suites are for. No, I want to do it in one. So I was having to really belt it out and do it really, really quickly and do it all like that, and then I had a breath halfway through. Take the breath occasionally, please.
Wow.
So yeah, I turned into Doc Holliday doing that.
Like an AM radio DJ.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's what I ended up at. Yeah, I ended up at this stupid Mid-Atlantic. Hi, this is Radio KYZ.
Gig's a gig.
Gig's a gig, yeah. Yeah, it's a paycheck. Who cares? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all. Man, you guys remember Imus in the Morning? Like when he was Imus in the Morning on AM?
Yep.
I never listened, but yeah.
WNBC. It was
like little tiny WABC buttons.
WABC, whatever it was. Yeah, ABC, and
that was when AM radio was
something.
Well, not only that, but the way that they played music. Because if you had a cassette recorder, oh my God, I'm dating myself beyond the gray in my beard. But if you had a cassette player, you knew that if a song played at a certain time, that an hour later it would play again. and then you could start to figure out, so I can get a recording of that, and I don't have to buy the 45. Woohoo! And now
we didn't buy records, and now you're like,
you have said 3 things in one breath that have dated you: AM radio, cassette player, and 45.
Do you know when I had to get my car fixed one time, or whatever it was? Maybe it was totaled. I don't know. Who can keep track of these things? It's a blonde. So I had to empty the trunk, and it had one of those, what do you call those things he's put in the middle of the what? And so actually I didn't have to clean out the trunk. The body shop's kid made his kid do it, and he pulled the insert out and said, "What is this?" I think it looked to him like, what. And me and his dad were laughing because we were about the same age. And he goes, "Can you believe kids are going to grow up not knowing what these things are?" And the record player adapter, because they still make records and record players.
Vinyl's is having one of its biggest comebacks. Well, really, its only biggest comeback since it's been gone. And I was at Amoeba Records here in Los Angeles, and it's like a Home Depot sized record store, and it is just it is gigantic. You can't get through all of it. You can buy 78s, you can buy cassettes. It's ridiculous, used. And what I was also amazed, speaking of vinyl, is how much absolutely brand new vinyl you can get of records from the 80s. They're putting them all back out on vinyl. I'm like, I was looking. I'm like, I posted on Snapchat. I'm like, there's like 4 Madonna albums on vinyl. What year is it? What is happening?
Well, even new releases come out in vinyl on Pretty Color Records.
Jack White did one album where he had, and I didn't know this was possible, he had a double groove on it. So if you dropped in on one groove, it was one record. You dropped in a different groove, it was a different record, full size. And then he put another song just in the label. So he had to drop the needle just in the label, just to hear that one song. Now that is, well, I remember I'm still talking about it, and that's what sold.
They upped the ante.
Yeah, and I think that once you
have... First done by the Goons in 1952.
Say again?
That was first done by the Goons in Britain in 1952.
Oh, really?
The Goons.
Oh, the Goons. Okay. Wow.
Great idea.
It was
an awesome idea.
Walking Backwards to Christmas, which was released in the summer of midsummer about 1952, and it had a double groove, so you never knew what song was going to play when you played the record.
And then if you play it backwards, it says Paul is dead.
Worship Satan. Worship Satan.
Well, the whole thing is there's still a lot of DJs who don't use computers and everything. Still a lot of DJs that spin on vinyl. So you've got that whole market as well. When I learned to DJ, I learned on vinyl. Right. No, I don't still DJ, but I learned on vinyl. So that wasn't that long ago.
They digitized that little hiss from the needle. So people put that in now on their sound effects. That's when you drop the needle, that sound has been created for a sound effect, so they can add it when you don't have it for real. It's just, it's like, really, we're there now.
Tachi, do you have to fly?
I'm hearing them quiet down, so it seems like they're about to start. So yes, I'm going to.
So why don't you give us your final take on My Darling Clementine, and then we will.
Considering we actually haven't started this yet, we've broken our record for
divergent tangents.
I think one of my favorite tangents. Gene Wilder was a solid tangent.
Absolutely, I love it. I'm not sorry. I really enjoyed this film, especially for it being a Western, and I am not into Westerns. This went beyond the Western, I think. You had this this whole East meets West type thing. Rarely do you have, well, in what I've seen, everything usually tends to be so centered in Western activity. Here you've got this dentist, doctor, surgeon, whatever he is, from Boston, and then his former girlfriend or fiance or whatever who follows him there. So you've got a little bit of this East that creeps this way, and it actually makes him a little bit more mysterious. And I'm like, wow, because I just thought, okay, Doc Holliday, they just call him Doc. And then the story starts to unfold and you find out who he is. And I'm like, wow, well, what would make someone leave seemingly, you know, a life in Boston to come out this way to nothing? So it just really makes you think about the individual and his character and what's going on with him. So I think there were so many layers. And to me, sometimes Westerns are not that layered. They're there to shoot up at the OK Corral or whatever corral, and that's it. But there were so many different stories in this. The story of revenge, and okay, I hear them with the gavel. So the stories of revenge.
I feel like we're hiding out with Tachi
under the table.
We are. We are. So, so I think it was just a really, really great film. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Coleen, for this recommendation.
Thank you, and have a good meeting.
Have a great meeting.
I will. I'll see you guys later.
I hope you don't get in trouble.
No, they know I'm in here.
Okay.
Bye.
She's just gonna burst out of a door. Just, hey, everybody! Did it start yet? Okay.
Da-da-da.
And on the scratching, we're talking about the turntable scratching stuff. There is, I tripped over them on Meerkat. There is a family. They're all kids. I think they're like 8 to 18, 6 or 7 kids. And their father was a breakdancer in the 80s. And one of the kids found a VHS tape, and they were like, "Come on, play it." And he was like, "No." And I guess he bribed them to, like, you know, do some chores and I'll show you. And they really liked it. And so he started teaching all of them from the millisecond they could learn.
How to break dance?
How to DJ. And they do shows where I guess the girl, DJ Olivia, she's like 8. And she has DJ'd like for Snoop Dogg. Like, she's done all these big events, and they're really, really good. And I believe they're like homeschooled. They're out of Chicago. Both parents, you know, are behind them and manage them and run the whole game. And they moved to LA, I think last summer. That's why I tripped over them on Meerkat. And she does
Summer of Meerkat.
She does the scratching on using a laptop and a couple of what look like turntables, but they're just lining up the MP3 to digitally on the laptop and then using their hand to just move a turntable that just moves the digital sounds. So it sounds exactly like scratching, but there's no needle.
No, it's a program that they use. It's called Serata, I think it's called. And it simulates.
I say Serata.
Yeah, it simulates turntables, and what it does is it'll digitally count for you the beats per minute on each what's spinning on each side. So you have your 2 different rhythms, and you can then time it how to mix the beats and get into the mix better, instead of, you know, what they used to do was have to actually listen and get the right place to combine. So it makes it a little bit easier, especially if, you know, you're in a really loud. Yeah. So some purists kind of feel like it's not the same, but that's where you see the max up on the middle. In the mid, so that's what
he has, and I've seen them do it on vinyl, so they know how to do both. I think it's
they know how to do it. You're a lot better at it when you already know how to get the feel. And on that Netflix series, The Get Down, they actually put a crayon on the. They put a crayon on the label albums to know where the actual beat was, and they had to find it. And but if you have to, it's not legit if you don't know how to find it and do it manually on your own. And then, but this Serata program, you can go a lot quicker. It takes a lot.
Have you ever heard of an amazing woman called Delia Derbyshire?
Delia Derbyshire?
Cool name.
No.
Oh, okay.
That is good.
Yeah, cool name, amazing woman. Delia Derbyshire kind of invented electronic music that we know today.
EDM?
She's one of the great musical heroes of the 20th century. she was the musical technician at the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, and she was the one who created the Doctor Who theme tune.
Wow, that's big.
That's cool.
And this is the days when you were working on reel-to-reel tapes and sampling by recording one thing to another, speeding up, slowing it down, creating sounds, the hard way.
It was hard.
Yeah. Look her up, amazing woman. And what she could do, she could pick up a vinyl record, a disc, look at it, and she could read the groove with her eyes and see where the sounds were on the groove.
Goodness.
Yeah. She said, oh, yeah, that's where the trumpet comes in, or that's where the drums go in. She could see it on the groove.
That's
amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing woman. Utterly dumped on by the men running the place, but and she went into depression afterwards because she was treated so very badly. But
is there a documentary about her or anything?
Wow.
Yep, there is, and there's a society that appreciates her work. I'll send you links about.
Probably big in the music underground, yeah. And there wouldn't have been many men. She wouldn't have been welcomed. There's no women in this field virtually. At least back then at all. I mean, so that's exciting too. Yeah.
But I just want to say a quick hello to Danny, who's watching in Germany. Thanks for tuning in on the Facebook.
Yeah.
We've got multiple countries involved. So
that's exciting.
I think we watched the movie, right? So the movie, the thing about Doc Holliday's. Oh, is that her? Cool.
That's Dealey Derbyshire at console.
Oh, look at that! I can't believe she did this with tape. That's
yeah. This is early '60s. No computers involved.
Right.
All reel to reel.
That's really cool. There's also I can't remember the name of it. There's a great documentary about the theremin that I never because most of the time you hear the theremin and you think sci-fi or horror because that's where it's been used, but it had a completely different meaning prior to that, and to learn about it, look it up. It's a really excellent documentary.
It's fascinating, yeah.
But if you Google theremin documentary, I'm sure you'll trip over it. But that sound that if you've ever seen a theremin, it's pretty much just like a metal bar, and you're moving your hand within range of it, not touching it, and you change what the sound is. And I also saw there was I was part of the Mobius artist group in Boston, and Ian White, who was one of the artists in the group, had made a theremin that hung from the ceiling in just loose wires, and he had a dancer dance with it live, and so she was playing the theremin while she was dancing.
Whoa!
And then he was just kind of running stuff in the background. But yeah, it was a really, really cool idea. But and that's the thing that happens when you start learning the cultural impact of something that sort of wipes out what the original intent was, because the original intent was not for it to be a sci-fi thing. It was like to play music, like classical music, all kinds of music. But yeah, very interesting story.
Think outside the box. Yeah.
Way outside. So the other thing about My Darling Clementine, our movie this week, Doc Holliday, when the Shakespeare thing came into play, that was like, okay, what the hell is going on here? Because I was like, all right, so they have the really drunk actor who can't remember to go on stage, but he can remember to find a bar, and he's apparently being held at gunpoint to perform, and he is doing Shakespeare prior to us seeing him, because that's what we hear from the very unhappy patrons who are like, you don't know.
Well, to be honest, he did have trouble with the soliloquy.
Right.
He lost.
Right. But he was everything he'd done prior to that wasn't making them happy either. Pretty much everything he was going to do was going to make them unhappy. And but Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp are both standing there, and Doc Holliday stops Wyatt Earp like, let's not interrupt this. I want to hear this. And then when he loses the Hamlet soliloquy, he finds Doc Holliday jumps in and finishes it, and it's the one thing with a character who's such a badass that you to find these other dimensions. And at that point, do we know I think we know he's a doctor at that point.
Yeah.
But I guess and the one thing that Tachi brought up, I believe he's still watching on Facebook during the meeting. Tachi, are you watching during the meeting? Cheater. I see your face on Facebook. Is what happened to Doc Holliday that made him leave Boston? And fictionally, because apparently the character Clementine was not a real character. She was a composite of, what was it, like Doc Holliday?
Big Nose Kate.
Yeah, Big Nose Kate. Where the hell, Big Nose Kate? Where do they come? I'm guessing had a big nose, but
yes, she did.
yeah, I would imagine if that's the if it is. Oh yeah, if that's your nickname, then what's going on? So fictionally, what happened to Doc Holliday prior to the movie that made him leave Boston and Clementine and leave his life behind? Was that Big Nose?
Well,
I don't know.
it's more like a big neck.
Like a big bun
or something.
Big head.
Big bun.
She's got a big bun.
Big bun.
But that I don't recall them saying exactly what happened. That made him go from Boston doctor to the guy who runs gambling in Tombstone.
Sounds like a bit of a fall from grace, or maybe something wrong side of the tracks. He was interested in Clementine, very much right side of the tracks. Boston society too, because he has this knowledge of Hamlet, and he was educated, but he seems like he didn't fit in. And then usually the drinking, it's sort of an unhappiness. She followed him out, so she had to leave. Well, she loved him, and so
It's also not an easy trip to make from Boston to Tombstone.
As a lady in a stagecoach, not great. So I guess on reflection, God bless the supposition, consumption.
Yeah.
Got a bit of that TB thing going on.
Yeah. The only way I'm going to cure this consumption is to retrieve the robe from the Jesus Christ dude.
But it isn't many people can pick up on midway into the Hamlet soliloquy. The one of the primary or the Hamlet soliloquy.
I'm guessing in Tombstone, even more the case. Yeah. So
in Tombstone with a rowdy bunch of it's like part two. These Wyatt Earp's like, all these savages again. We've got to go round them up, and here we go into this bar setting where in the last person you expect to resume is so. Yeah, it's a turning of the events where it puts it on a whole other level. It's not just because I didn't ever want to see Westerns either, and it was TCM, again and again and again. That's Victor Mature, but not in Doc Holliday.
No, I'm just reminding how bad it is. I've always thought
that looks a bit like a savage type. I couldn't. TCM guilted me into it after so many. I don't know. I turn all day Westerns off we go. I can't, And then finally, somebody, I listened to an intro, and had gotten to know enough of the actor and directors, and then said, you know what, this probably isn't half bad. Let me give it a try, and it is. It's just a TB. I saw one of Joe's comments come up. What is that?
Chris Ashby saying "bless you" to Matthew because he sneezed.
Oh, I see.
It's just TTP, and we hate when that happens.
Tachi's still. She's over on Facebook. I was always Westerns. Yeah, completely. So
same thing.
I think that's both Matthew's comment about this being a film noir set in the West, and Tachi's comment about how much more interesting the story would have been to have black cowboys and Mexican cowboys and other things going on. Right, I know. But let me just come around full circle. But to have characters who are like, we don't know a lot about Wyatt Earp other than the brothers, and that he's a retired marshal, now he's a new marshal, and other than his acts we see on stage. But Doc Holliday we know less about, and is a much more interesting character because there's a lot more layers to his character, and I think that's what makes the movie so much more interesting and makes it not feel like what in my mind is the typical horrible Western. I mean, there's every genre, there's typical and horrible, and there's plenty of typical horrible film noir, and we've seen some of it. But it's oh, there's Patricia. Victor Mature is Tarzan at high noon. That's hilarious. But I think that is the layers of Doc Holliday, and the layers that aren't explained, because we never really find out what the fall from grace was that made him leave. And then the other thing that happens is that Doc Holliday really doesn't want to go hang out with the ex from Boston, and sends her on her way. And Wyatt Earp thinks like she's the bee's knees, and thinks he's out of his mind to not continue with the relationship.
Joe.
Oh, did I leave?
Only a minute.
Okay. Yeah, I was going. Patricia Murray's over on Huzzah saying jazz cowboy couple Doc and Billie Holiday. Ladies and gentlemen,
there were a few moments,
Victor
as hyper-masculine as this is, they get to be so friendly. I kind of was, was anybody else thinking in another movie?
But I.
Oh yes, the bromance, yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely much bromancing going on with Wyatt and Doc Holliday, and I saw a lot of back on the back two legs of the chair, and then you put your boot up on the post right there, and you lean back. A lot of that shot. Saw that shot a lot, which now then shows up everywhere else. I think what it is that because there are Westerns where the characters don't have these layers, where the story isn't as intricate, not that it was a crazy intricate story, but there were a few stories going on under the hood of all of it. I kind of felt like it was less typical, and more characters are what makes stories interesting, and that was definitely the case with this one. That this was way more about what was going on with characters, and also according to Wikipedia, the Earps were not cattle people. They did not have anything to do with cattle. The brother wasn't shot. All of it is a completely different setup. Oh yeah, and Patricia, if you're watching on classicmoviesalon.com, or on I'm JoeWilsonTV on Facebook. So if you go facebook.com/JoeWilsonTV, you will be on my page, and I believe Colleen's hanging out. Tachi's hanging out. So that is, and again, that we're watching. Oh, thanks for the linkage. That we're watching a movie that depicts Native Americans, Indians in a way that's not, we're not going to find a lot of yay Indian Westerns, but for it to still have relevance to what is going on right now, like today in the news, it's more and more. It's amazing to see how these stories reverberate and remain true, and in most cases, unfortunately, definitely with William Shatner's that movie, The Intruder, finding all these parallels with what's going on now, and these films continues to happen without us even trying at all. So like, oh, let's watch a movie that we can, like, no agenda. You just throw an old story out and watch it and go, oh yeah, we're still doing this stuff. We're still haven't got it together.
And it's so in our face just at the opening of this movie. I don't know if, again, because we know now that this film was was re-edited by the producer, by Daryl Zanuck.
Yeah, and let's also talk about that, because I think that's the interesting thing is we our pal Hal, and I'm blanking on his last name, jumped into a Facebook thread, Mosenberg.
Mosenberg, yeah.
Jumped into a Facebook thread that I posted, I think, yesterday, and was talking about how this movie had was released with a completely different cut, and they brought in somebody else to shoot some additional scenes.
His name was Lloyd Bacon. Yeah, they brought in another director, but obviously not an A-list type director.
And also, I guess Henry Fonda didn't want to do the movie.
Is he really a director? Is he kosher?
He is not kosher.
No, Henry Fonda did the scene. He reshot the scene.
Oh no, I'm saying that Henry Fonda didn't want to do the movie at all, and apparently contract he had to. So that's why he was in it in that regard.
Quite a system, like you were saying, Joe, earlier before the show. What a way to make movies. Yeah. It worked for the producers and the studios, but not from an artistic standpoint. You know, although TCM is running right now as a spacer between films, a little bit about It Happened One Night. And it's another tangent, but a quick little blurb with Frank Capra actually talking live about It Happened One Night, with how successful it was, box office and critical, and how Gable was forced to do it as payback by Louis B. Mayer. Louis was angry at him. They couldn't get 5 actresses turned down the Colbert role, and she finally agreed to do it for double the money, and if they could shoot it in 4 weeks because she was going on vacation. And that it won all 5 major categories at the Oscars, and Columbia had no one to vote for it in the Academy, which normally, because Capra was like, usually I guess the fix is in, it's lobbying, it's the voting, it's the all that campaigning. So he said, for all the negativity going into pre-production, it sure did all right financially, afterwards. And so here, so there's nothing to, he's like, his kind of was like throwing his hands up in the air, go figure. And here we have My Darling Clementine, with all the reshoots, cuts, and edits, and yeah. So go ahead.
And still not a horrible movie, even after. So I guess the version. Well, a couple of things. When we meet the Earps, it's Wyatt and his brothers out with all their cattle. They run into, I'm blanking on the family of brothers. Say it again. Clantons, who are the crooked Clantons. Yeah, the alliteration is so much better with them, and it's an accurate nickname. But regardless, so we know right out of the gate, all the exposition comes from Henry Fonda. Wyatt Earp's character lets us know where him and his brothers are going, and they find out about this town and go in it, and then all the cattle are stolen, and his brother is shot when they return from going to town, this wild town, and dealing with drunk Indians and bad barbers and all that crazy stuff. And that is
his brother. Although it's black and white, you could tell he was wearing a red shirt, because that was pure Star Trek red shirt man.
Totally. Yeah. You could just tell by the actors just like, I only have this one scene, so whatever. Yeah, in the next scene, so it really doesn't matter what I say. Really, it doesn't. I guess I work 2 days. Really, 2 days is it? Really? So that becomes the background for the whole film till it sort of comes back around to and the one tell, or the one little I'm blanking on the term, it was either the gold cross necklace that brother had that was shining it up, that we see that at the beginning, and that is the thing that shows up on Chihuahua's neck, and Wyatt sees it, and she says that Doc Holliday gave it to her. So of course Wyatt's going to go find Doc Holliday and go, what's the deal with the necklace? And Doc Holliday's not having it, and finally Chihuahua coughs it up that she got it from one of the brothers, who took it off the guy he most likely shot in the back. Important to know that, in the back, so that way coward killing. It's not, he didn't have a shootout. So if you've heard the term a billion times, the shootout at the OK Corral, which I have a million times, this is where it all happens. So there is the brothers camp out at OK Corral and put out the word, "You want us? This is where we're going to be," and they wait till sunrise. And Wyatt and Doc
Can't shoot out before sunrise.
Exactly, they got their thing, and the thing that kind of sets things off, I think, for Doc Holliday's character is when Chihuahua is telling Wyatt and Doc Holliday the story about the brother. She gets shot through the window by one of the brothers. One of Wyatt's other brothers takes off after him and chases them all the way back, and there's some shooting back and forth. And that brother pretty much drops dead on the front porch. So when Wyatt, the other brother, shows up at the door to get him, the dad of the clan shoots him and kills him, which they deliver his body back. And when they say, "You find me at the OK Corral," and "Oh, here's your dead brother." So that is the sort. I mean, there's some shootout stuff, but it's not.
Still not a bad body count for.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not that kind of a Western. It's the story. It's less about the horses and the guns. Thankfully, because I would have checked out. So.
Oh, another thing about different genres, the bit with the coach when Doc's driving the stagecoach with all those black horses. That's real vampire stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Those black horses flashing along like the devil's horses. You really need Christopher Lee driving the coach that fast.
It was, and that's the one place I think that Victor Mature's skills were well used. Especially with the TB. I got the TB in the cup, but man, you get me in front of some horses, I got energy. You'll see me go. Watch me go. And so the other thing that happens in the background of the story before the shootout is the budding romance between Wyatt Earp and Clementine, who's the gentle lady from Boston who's back to get her bad boy Doc back to Boston.
Oh, Joe Wilson, you sound like you're on the Senate floor. The gentle lady from...
I'm sorry.
Attention. Call to order.
I will try to say a bunch of things and be completely pointless and useless as a politician. Because that's what I do. I just came back from 7 weeks of vacation because I'm a congressman or a senator. 7 weeks all together.
What? The gentleman from Los Angeles have a rant, please.
Read that and I'm like, you swear.
You don't appreciate how tiring it is to achieve diddly squat.
That is true, and to spend so much money doing it.
They have to call people and beg for money every day, Joe Wilson.
I know, it's a tough job
every
to beg
day.
for money.
I mean, can you imagine holding the phone that amount of time? Or, I mean, an aide has to dial those numbers.
and the rest of the time is just doing illegal favors. I mean, helping influence history.
And eating clams in D.C. somewhere. There's a the Chowder House, apparently. That's quite the favorite.
Exactly. So the one thing with Wyatt and Clementine is they seem like a good match. Like they seem like they would be a good couple. They do some dancing. Coleen, there's a butt to that?
Well, you know what? Well, again, it's Henry Fonda, and he had that image, but because with all this masculinity going, he kept it remarkably noble.
Right.
But I think he didn't ever want to have himself portrayed as a scamp. Meanwhile, I mean, there could have been some round the outhouse kind of. I don't know.
The outhouse.
I'm sorry. Did I go into who territory?
Is that the term that they used back in the war?
I don't know.
Round back the outhouse, a scene we won't shoot for the film.
Sorry, round the outhouse. Are you talking cottaging?
Cottaging. I don't know.
So is cottaging not an American term?
Cottaging is not an American term.
Not an American.
Got to translate.
Cottaging is when chaps hang around well-known meeting places, normally public toilets, with express intention of having short amorous encounters with other chaps.
I see.
You make it sound so lovely.
It's almost like a vacation getaway.
Kind of like what the gentleman from Congress.
Will, the gentle lady from New York.
Cottaging. See, when you're from New York City and there's people in lining up to use bathroom stalls, they don't call it cottaging. Just saying.
Cottaging. That is a term
really
I'm going to start using, just so people go, what? Oh, you don't use that term?
You know,
I learned from our friend Matthew. It's in the UK. It's huge.
It could be.
Yeah, it is.
That could become a great code word here in the States.
Look, I'm drinking vegetables.
What the hell is that?
KZ just handed this off to me.
You know what you could call that, Joe Wilson? Kermit juice.
I will let Kathy know that she has made me.
So you've been cottaging. I got a mouthful of Kermit juice. That was just so wrong.
It is not easy being green. It's really, really not easy being green. Cheers, Kermit Noodle.
It's time to play the music. It's time to play lights. It's time to give a frog a blowjob on the Muppet Show tonight.
We're gonna make Muppets.
It really is my pleasure to introduce to you.
Somehow I think making a Muppet smoothie video would be worse than making the Tickle Me Elmo sex tape video I made. So I might have to make it Kermit P. Chris Ashby, Kermit P.
You know, it's not fair because neither of you are probably wearing mascara.
I am.
I shouldn't have.
I'm just not on my face.
I shouldn't have assumed. I apologize. I apologize, guys. Please forgive me.
Kermit.
I won't do that anymore. It's Kermit juice. I'm sorry. So we have, that could be the first official.
I just keep imagining Kermit's arms spinning around in a blender, like at the top. With little sticks moving them.
And I love Kermit. I'm not trying to be violent. I mean, who doesn't love Kermit?
I'm not anti-Kermit.
It's just.
I am anti-Tickle Me Elmo, though. Any Barn? Tickle Me Elmo.
Kermit, are you supposed to be? Kermit, Madoff, would you like a little insy pencil blowjob? Look at the next answer.
Kermit's like, there was never any cottaging on Sesame Street.
Oh, come on. Big Bird. What do you think Big Bird was doing when he wasn't on behind the camera?
He was kind of always glad no one believed in Snuffy. Because...
Oh, and Tachi says on Facebook, wow, where are you wearing mascara?
You don't want to know. If you have to ask,
it's
Tachi.
Off camera.
It's below here.
It's kind of like contour makeup, but not.
Yeah, it helps define my ankles.
This is the part where Scooter, the stage manager from the Muppet Show, is just going like this, and
this show is off the rails. It's the classic movie song.
Now we know what Wyatt Earp had to deal with, in that rowdy citizenry in Tombstone.
We're just a bunch of drunk Indians. How dare you give liquor to Indians? What are you guys, out of your mind? You know what happens to them. Same thing that happens to us. But we run everything.
Now speaking of cowboys and Indians, in Wolverhampton, which is a town in the centre of England, there's a building firm that's run by a group of Sikh gentlemen. And it says on the side of their van, this is absolutely true, you can look it up, you've tried the cowboys, now try the Indians.
No.
Yeah, because I don't know if you have it over there, but we talk about cowboy builders over here. People who are rubbish at building things. People who build badly and rip people off. That's a cowboy builder.
Okay, that's the term used to like. Okay, they. Well,
I'd
then
love to see that, and
they can say that. I guess why not?
I'd love to see that over here.
Yeah, it would kind of flip people the heck out. That would be kind of, they'd go, oh, and you know who would be the first ones to, well, no, I can't go. The first ones to come out would be some of these conservatives and go, you get on us, and you go, you know, and it's the ones who would be to burn down a barn if the wrong person moved next door to them. They'd be going, oh no, you can't say that. You can't have a truck like that, you know. So it's too, you know, and I guess you know, I wonder if Ford put that in the film up front, or Selznick, or they just didn't, you know. I guess, you know, it's two schools of thought. Is saying we make it an issue, or in 1946 it's ignorantly not an issue.
There's the van.
Or, what does it say? Okay, exterminating. No,
it says you've tried the cowboys, now try the Indians.
Where does it?
It's right at the bottom beneath the number plate.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the other one. There
we are. It's down below.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about marketing is that if you can get people to talk about it, it is marketing.
It works.
So
it's effective.
If they're still in business and it's working, then
it's memorable. If it's memorable, and let's call those guys.
It's Seth Godin calls it the purple cow. Wrote a book about it, and it's and he uses the analogy: everybody drives by cows and doesn't say anything, but if you saw a purple cow, you'd pull over, you'd take pictures of it, you'd send them to your friends, like, look, a purple cow. How often do you see that? And that is, and if you look at sort of Apple, you look at any big product release, you look at Harley Davidson, all of these sort of product cults. That's really what it's about. It's conversation.
We have Kermit juice.
And we have Kermit Juice. Also a great name for a band. Kermit Juice. That would be a kick-ass.
You know what? That's kind of awesome.
Kermit. Now I have to learn to play an instrument.
Or the Kermit Juice Cottagers.
it's Kermit Juice and
the Cottagers.
Or cottaging. Kermit Juice cottaging. First album.
Yeah. They have a new fake band.
True. The one thing that that My Darling Clementine made me consider, I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but
we discussed the movie, aren't we? Yeah.
Is that a couple of times, was week before last, Casey and I were watching, we were just doing, it was either on TCM or on Amazon, or I don't remember. No, it was on Hulu. We were just going from spy film to spy film, like World War I, World War II, a couple of Alfred Hitchcock ones, and because it's a genre thing, at the end of the movie they go, if you like this, maybe you'd like this. Mm-hmm. And so we started so we watched like 3 of them in a row, and they're all sort of spy movies. It's UK, it's Americans in UK, it's and
they were on the same side.
Well, I know that, but I know, but in terms of characters on screen, but to have that genre, like, it's not that there wasn't a bunch of bad spy movies made, but because the first one was so good that you're like, oh, I'd like to watch another spy movie. Oh, okay, I'll watch one more spy movie. And this is a Western, I think, that makes me like, maybe I should watch a couple more Westerns. Maybe I shouldn't be such a Westernist, or I've always been anti-Western. And there's, it's not that there haven't been Lonesome Dove. There's been some good contemporary stories that have been made about cowboys and all that crap.
Well, didn't you think the music in this was and a lot of, I don't know if you've seen Unforgiven and Dances with Wolves, and
right.
A lot of these things also, and everyone, and did you also see too in some of the reading where pretty much all the contemporary directors have kind of borrowed and refer to this film in particular and John Ford for their own learning, and specifically this film. So there's a lot to draw on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Think,
I'm going to look up.
Another one, I'll put it out right here. It's not, unfortunately, it's not on YouTube. It's not one we could. I would have already thrust it upon our list here. Is Bad Day at Black Rock, directed by John Sturges, which is that? Oh, there we go.
That's the James Stewart film that I was talking about.
And what's the name?
It's called The Far Country. It's a really good film.
Can you say the title again?
The Far Country.
The Far Country.
No.
But another.
The Western in Canada.
I'm putting a link, and I'll put it on both Huzzah and Facebook for a documentary if you want to see how people affect other people creatively. And I've talked about this before. It's called Everything is a Remix. And I just posted a YouTube video for the full. It's all, oh, wow. Yeah, Jimmy Stewart in a cowboy hat. And again, I'm talking about Gene Wilder, and how much more interesting is a cowboy when it's Jimmy Stewart or a Henry Fonda versus someone else.
John Wayne.
Oh yeah, Bad Day at Black Rock, directed by John Sturges and starring Spencer Tracy. Wow,
not a cowboy, but instead, and this gets a little bit to more what Tachi brought up earlier with, a clever take on especially chasing down the racial issue. Spencer Tracy is a lawyer who's arrives into town at Black Rock to investigate a family that's gone missing. It's a Native American family, and so he shows up and he's a stranger, number one, so he's unwelcome. Number two, he starts asking questions. So and it's a great cast. Robert Ryan's in it. Ernest Borgnine's in it. Plays a really creepy villain, and so here, because you think Spencer Tracy in a Western, what?
Exactly.
Amazing, though. They got him, and again, it follows some patterns for Westerns, but you don't care. He's shows up in a black suit, so they see him as an outlaw. But it also has a tie to World War II, because he had been in the war, but a few other of them have been, and they're in, I think, New Mexico, could be Arizona. I tried to find out before that we started, but I couldn't pin down. There was tons to read through, and I couldn't get through fast enough to get the look at. Just wonderful, great story, a lot of tension. So highly recommend.
That's a good place to start. Maybe that's I need to not hate the Western genre and look for good Westerns and watch them.
Well, you've got Red River with Montgomery Clift and
Right.
John Wayne, and you've got She Wore a Yellow Ribbon.
Never saw it.
Think, yeah. So some of these are just really, really tough.
Retta, who's in Vampire Mob, and she was on Parks and Rec on NBC. Stopped by the Facebook page and said, "Hi, Retta. Thanks for dropping by." I think she's in Vancouver shooting something. No, I can't ask her if she left. I think that the part of my prejudice against Westerns has kept me from some good movies, but I just see a cowboy hat and I run the other way, except for Matthews, because that's a badass cowboy hat. And I don't own a cowboy hat, never have.
And the cowboy hat from the guy in The Village People.
I always remember George Carlin used to do a bit about wearing a cowboy hat. He's like, so I decided to wear a fashion statement from the 1800s, because and also I'll be wearing a suit of armor tomorrow, because that's just what I like to do. I like to wear old-time clothes that no one else is doing, because it makes no sense whatsoever. I was at the Canadian. You were at the Canadian Mexican border the other day, Chris. That's a miracle. That's an interesting place.
Okay then.
Probably impossible. I'm just guessing. So I'll definitely be watching more. Westerns and not feeling like they're horribly stupid movies. Our movie next week is, I know what it is. Where did it go? Oh, it is No Man of Her Own. No Man of Her Own. Oh no, are we gonna bump No Man of Her Own to next week, right? Because that was supposed to be for. Oh no, the date's just wrong. No worries. So No Man of Her Own. Is
the date wrong on that?
It says today on your blog.
On the I thought I changed.
No worries. I had the wrong episode number. This is actually episode 45. Yeah, everybody, 45 episodes, 45 weeks of classic movie salon. That is kind of amazing.
45.
Considering the technical gremlins we've had to deal with, it's a miracle. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and across multiple platforms and everything. Yeah,
we keep going.
We will not be stopped.
We've lasted longer than Blab lasted altogether.
Yeah, no kidding. almost. Yeah, actually. Yeah, we're closing in on outliving Blab. I really the one thing about the whole I don't know. It seems like social media turns into this armchair quarterbacking. Where people are kind of like,
look, I'm in an armchair.
Exactly. They're I gotta get an armchair. They are just see my observation just between Periscope, Meerkat, all the rest of them. There were or are, so many big statements made about this being a revolution and about people being pioneers and all this kind of stuff. And now that we're a year and change, year and a half plus past the birth of Meerkat and Periscope, there's so many more platforms, there's so many more ways to do it, and there will never be and never could be any kind of centralized, I don't know, successful platform that everyone goes to. Even YouTube now just announced that they're going to be playing thought police a little bit and yanking advertising off videos that have material that they find offensive, and their line for offensive has grown incredibly thin, from my understanding. And so having talk of drugs, drug use, sexy time, anything like that on the YouTube, and they will pull the advertising from it. Now, these are big time YouTubers, people who make a lot of money on YouTube, and now they're going to yank. So if you have a news YouTube show and you're talking about cultural events, and you talk about a cultural event that YouTube finds offensive, then just you talking about it yanks the revenue from the video, which has been the ecosystem for 11 years, or as long as the advertising's been around, at least, which is less than 11. So really interesting to see what's happened with all of it. It's just going to keep evolving. It's never going to stop. And the mindset of like, dude, that's going to grow like YouTube will never happen, because YouTube started 11 years ago. It's a different planet. It's a different time. The internet's different. Phones are different. Everything is different. It is
in a galaxy far, far away.
Chris saying it's revolutionary in Canada. Well, there you go. So that's my little rant about that. But yeah, we 45 episodes in is pretty damn cool.
It sure is.
And the thing is, like, we do this because it's fun, and we like hanging out and make each other laugh and be goofy. And Chris asked me what's YouTube. And if we did this constantly looking at what the numbers are, it wouldn't be fun.
No, but things can't be coming from that motivation. Then there's no room then to it's not authentic, and it's not, you can't create from that point. And I mean, that become, that it's not, it has I think that everything has to be born from a genuine interest and passion and fun. It can't, otherwise, what's
I agree.
Enjoying what you do, and wanting to keep doing that, and and that's where the and you pointed it out, Joe, is where Blab blaming the creators and the content, and maybe a lot of them weren't great, but a lot of people are still going, and will just continue to keep going, and that's probably always the case. It always has been the case.
I was talking to somebody on Snapchat Friday, and it was a person whose husband died recently, going through a tough time financially and otherwise, and she wanted to know how much a Vampire Mob issue 1. She's like, I'm really not spending money right now, and I said, well, you can watch 70 minutes of it for free on YouTube. And then I'm like, binging on Netflix, and that's pretty much my main thing. So to have some other films enter into people's consciousness for free, and to talk about them, and seeing how they bounce off what's going on now, I think it's worth doing, and I think it's fun, and the small group of people who know about us so far is growing. So
there's there's so many success stories revolving around people who either had a small launch startup that was partly paid for and bought, and then partly they gave away, and that just because money can come down the line. It's word of mouth and getting known and getting out there, and the investment you make now for down the line and doing the work, and that can so much can this building goodwill and networking, and it's the same old story over and over again. So getting word of mouth and people who stick with you, and you know this, and just if it helps other people to know about it too, and to keep trying, keep going.
Yeah, that's what's been really fun is hearing from people on Snapchat who didn't know me prior to this year, finding out about Vampire Mob and watching it, and me hearing back from them when we haven't shot an episode of that since 2011.
Wow.
It was really, really cool. And also, I chipped out a bunch of issue 1s this week, which is also been really fun. And issue 2 slowly coming together. And also, if you don't follow me, I'm JoeWilsonTV on Snapchat. I've been also posting some of KZ's work on it. And people, thank you. She and the idea is that I'm going to set up a website for her work and sell it, make it available. And what's happening is I'm posting it on Snapchat and on Instagram and Facebook, and it's never going to get to a site because it's going to be gone. People are buying the stuff she makes right off of Snapchat. It's amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Probably that's all you need. It's just, because Snapchat and social media, it's all you need, really. The
other way is to go, you go Etsy or you go eBay or you go, website. But the thing is, the reality is, like, who goes to those websites and how do you get them there? And you're already,
probably unnecessary slop.
Yeah, maybe. And also, I don't want to turn her into a machine. Like, that's the main thing, is what she has to be having fun making the art that she likes to make, and not just filling orders. And
that's it. That's if you have a big inventory, backroom, warehouse kind of thing where the website. So if you've got stuff that's sitting, but if it's kind of just streamlined and going as you make it, then social media probably just more than you need. And Instagram, photo, it's more than visual. It's all that you need.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, between that and Facebook and the rest of it, it's and also with Facebook, us being able to stream this on Facebook, we are more of our audience is on Facebook.
They're here, yeah, and it's a family. Everybody's all together. So,
family.
What'd you say, Matthew?
I was trying to sing "We Are Family," but I can't get up
can't get that high.
I have to keep myself in the nuts to get that.
You have to.
It occurred to me, if Vampire Mob was ever picked up by network TV, would it say at the start of every episode, Vampire Mob is taped before an undead studio audience?
Yes, it would. and my thinking would also be it would be horrible and not funny. But that was there was almost a partnership production with a big time production company to make season 3 of Vampire Mob that was in the works for a year. And not until towards the end of it did I kind of see what the future of the show was going to be, which was bad. So in a way it didn't work out, and in another way it worked out perfectly, because if it had gone out and made the way it seemed like it was going to get made, there would be puns in it. So I'm anti-pun. Puns in a story, and it would just lean into vampire jokes and vampires brushing their teeth in front of mirrors and just all this crap that is like, this story's just about characters. Some of them are vampires. That's all. It's very simple. It's a family story. It's a bad guy story. It's a mafia story. But that's all. And that's why
You don't want to find the sitcom vampire show. Are you telling me that you are going to drink my blood? And we don't want that.
And they are all wearing sweaters. They're all wearing really
gosh, yeah.
Vampires.
And they're all doing the dance. What was it called?
Carlton dance.
The Carlton dance, yeah.
Chris Ashby saying on Facebook, next week I suggest you class it up a bit and wear a scarf and a cowboy hat. That is a good idea.
Oh wait, did you see Matthew how he looked yesterday? An ornery professor.
I did. I gotta look up.
Oh my goodness! What a look!
Oh, that was fun. That was such fun.
And what a look on his. He almost scared me to see how he looked out of a film. It's just this most. The anti Mr. Chips.
Exactly. That's that kind of the look I was going for.
Yeah, it was anti Mr. Chips, the most cross-looking headmaster or teacher you ever did see, and Jill was sort of like not Jill.
Yeah,
Very not Jill.
Jill's been an old battle axe who thinks that women should just have babies and do nothing else. And it was Rachel who was the blue stocking, the hero of the piece. She was brilliant.
Yeah,
I saw the picture that Jill posted, and she said, "I am reenacting or playing a character who has many chins." She's like this.
Jill has a message for you. She says, "Her chins say hi."
Very nice. I say hi to each of them. I know they all have names, so because you gotta name them. It's the only way, and walk around like this all the time. Well, I know we're going to get cut off on Facebook, so there is only a 2-hour limit. So let's try to keep it close to that. And wow, that's great.
See, and look at that. It's just
great look. I mean, and cool lighting and shot. Nice.
Look at the walking stick. His stick is just, I mean, the whole, and you can see, it looks like he's so in character because it's like, he can't walk anymore. What happened to Matthew?
That's really cool.
He's leaning on it. And I was like, oh.
Thanks. Mark Robbins is saying hello. And Chris.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Such a nice compliment. Yeah.
We will, so next week, the movie is No Man of Her Own. This is off the Paramount Vault YouTube page. So this is not going to be a crappy stream. I am guessing it's going to be a decent print. I am guessing
it is. It's got Barbara Stanwyck, so it's nice. It's a good movie.
So I think we got some solid stuff for next week. So all you have to do is watch the movie before 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, or 7 p.m. UK, and we will talk about it. You can join in on the comments, and at some point we're going to set up a way to have a time where people get on camera, if you can, on the huzzah, and give us your take. But so we'll be closing out. So that is. Oh, and thank you to Tachi.
Oh, and there's some trivia questions too in our blog posts.
Oh yeah.
We are starting, and I put the answers for this week's trivia on Twitter. But in our blog post, which is also it'll be on the Twitter and on our Facebook page. There's 3 trivia questions: an easy, a medium easy, and a less than easy trivia. related to each movie, which we're trying, and we'll, just for fun, and then we'll see where it goes. Just, to like Jeopardy style, so that you don't have to have seen it to try to figure it out. You can Google it, and try.
In other words, you can just cheat.
You can, well, it's kind of, but you know how the Jeopardy questions are, where if you read the category and you read the question, there's kind of almost an answer inside the answer.
Oh, yeah.
Where if you kind of, so you can kind of go that way too, where
it won't be too hard.
Not too hard, but fun, just to sort of go hand in hand with so I know that. So
all right, cool. So we'll close it out at the 2-hour mark. Thank you very much to everyone watching. Thanks again, Tachi, for joining us before the meeting and continuing to join us. I don't know how you're multitasking this, Tachi. That must be one boring ass meeting. I'm just saying. And we will see you back here next week. Thank you, and bye-bye. Bye, Matthew. Bye, Coleen.
Bye, Joe. Bye, Matthew.